Hugo, what are you doing with my camera?
Oh, I thought I could produce the new War Room tour, really capture the majesty of your fresh NYC setup.
No, absolutely not. And since when are you a producer?
But I've worked with Hollywood's best, Spielberg, etc. It can't be that hard. Easy peasy, cruising on my mega yacht Breezy.
But you've never done anything out of the kindness of your heart. What do you really want?
I was hoping you'd contact those lovely chaps at Cartier on my behalf. Procure a splendid discount on the new Santos Dumont.
Have you forgotten your skirmish with the security at the Cartier booth at the last Watches and Wonders?
Welcome to Wonders of Watches.
Cut. It's Watches and Wonders, okay?
Oh, pish posh. Just ring them, old sport. Go on.
Fine, but on one condition. You help me get your Jurassic Park buddy, Jeff Goldblum, to wear one of the watches I designed, and we have a deal.
Not Jurassic Jeff, with his lovely interviews and brand deals. Is that Jurassic Jeff, floating above West Broadway like some sort of designer eyewear-clad demigod? Siri, darling, call my agent forthwith.
You sound jealous.
You know what? Never mind. I have an A-list soiree to get to. Toodle pip.
This is very boring. Come in, and welcome to the new War Room. All the War Rooms in the past, this is the fourth one now, have been a part of a large room, like the last apartment in Philly, as you saw, the Trading Places shooting location. That was kind of an open plan, modern apartment. So this is different. I've always wanted a door I can shut, so my wife, you know, if she's cucinando un bel sugo, un po' di pasta, qualcosa, you know, that you don't have the pots and pans and I can just focus on work, or if she wants to watch a movie or we have guests. So this is a standalone, dedicated room. So I'm very, very happy about that. Anyway, let's take a look around. So we have the bookshelf, which is full of predominantly history, non-fiction. There is a little bit of fiction stuff, like you got your James Bonds and your Thomas Harris and all the rest of it. Oh, Frederick Forsyth, the former Rolex ambassador. If you know your Rolex, you're gonna know about that. A lot of art books. And in fact, actually, I had to get the Eames book. This is a new acquisition because you guys know I love my Eames chair. And that is in the rest of the apartment, which maybe I'll share in a future video. We'll see how it goes. The Seiko clock, of course, from the old War Room. The poster that Lorenzo did for the Safari release. Very, very proud. That was a watch that we did 4 or 5 years ago now, I think it was. It was a massive success. That was when small watches was still a trend that was growing. We did the 36mm release, which in fact actually we designed that even several years before that, and it was quite risky because we thought, oh my god, you know, is it too small? But people lapped it up. It was an amazing co-design. Just a little bit of the process if you're not familiar. First of all, you have your renderings. That can take anywhere between several months to even years. I've spent in fact one particular project, I was 2 years in the designing stage. Then it goes to a wax sample. This is a project that never came to fruition. This happens a lot. It just got stuck in this phase because we wanted to do things with the movement and we couldn't. When you've got the wax sample, then it goes to this. Now this looks like a real watch, but actually if I remove the crown, it just pops out. It's a screw down crown. There's no movement in it. The hands have been set to 10 past 10. But what this does is, obviously the bezel works, everything else works, you could wear it like a real watch. It's to get an idea of the scale, to get an idea of how it wears, how it behaves, how it looks, how the materials look, you know, if you're doing titanium or yellow gold or something like that. Then if you're happy, or typically even in the wax stage, you might make modifications, you might have to do it again, and then it goes to a working sample. This is the Rangemaster Mechanical I did with Islander. That was the Squale Sand Shark. And this is a functioning sample. So there is some things that you don't get. For example, there's no engravings in the back. We actually made some changes even from seeing this. I made some slight changes to the hands, made them a little bit bigger, but the loom works. It's almost fully functioning. This is the last stage that's not numbered. The wax is, you know, typically only a couple of $100. These go into the thousands, into the many thousands, because it's a one-off. It's an extremely expensive process. After you've made your last changes, it goes to the final production run. Depending on if it's how expensive the watch, you cut a check for, I don't know what, $250,000 or however much it is. You know, it depends on if you're doing 500, 1,000, whatever. So that's the really terrifying stage. And then 6 months later, a year later, they arrive and you pray to God they sell. Otherwise you're filing bankruptcy. Ah, the joys of watchmaking. Anyway, shall we see if it's still working? We got the Enterprise, I think this is the D. Anyway, yeah, still going. Yeah, I'm a bit of a Trekkie, even though DS9 is my favorite. I do love that Enterprise. It's my favorite Enterprise. The special Panerai book from my pilgrimage back to Florence. If you missed that video, I'll leave a card somewhere there. A very special moment in my life. I've always dreamt of having one of these. This is the famous Vasily chair designed by Marcel Breuer, of course, named after Vasil Kandinsky. So if you saw in my parents' house, we have the original black leather one, which is the most iconic. I decided to go for this cognac, a little nod to the Vachetta leather we used in the Unico case, if you guys remember that we did a limited run of that with Carl Friedrich. So obviously this is not the real McCoy because they cost, well, more than a new Rolex. Let's just put it at that. But this is an identical replica. Even this was expensive. I'm obsessed with classic chairs. I have the Eames in the living room now, which is outside. So I really wanted to have this, and also kind of links to the original that my parents have. So bought this lovely little table so I can have an espresso. I can read my Marcus Aurelius and sip my espresso in the morning in my robes. Yeah, nice. For the sake of continuity, the light is off now. Let's talk a little bit about the DVD and Blu-ray collection. I'm slowly replacing the DVDs with Blu-rays. Unfortunately, a lot of the more obscure stuff, especially the European stuff that I like, or just the schlocky horror movies that you can't find anywhere, that haven't been released on Blu-ray. But, you know, slowly I'm getting there. This one I rewatched recently and I had to buy it. Very underrated Kurt Russell movie, Breakdown. No watches I could recognize in this. However, Kurt Russell's a big Navitimer fan in real life. I had the Blu-ray, no, sorry, I had the DVD, but I decided to get the Blu-ray. Of course, he wears that famous, the civilian Benrus. Amazing cars, turtlenecks, tweed jackets, San Francisco, and a cool watch. What more do you want, right? What more do you want? Very underrated. This is a zombie movie, but with a cool twist, set in Paris. Great little find. Unfortunately, not on Blu-ray, so I had to get the DVD. Over here, we got the Alien 6 collection box set. Again, I had the DVDs. I wanted to see it in its full glory. As the franchise progresses and the kind of more schlocky and worse the movies get, the less watches there are. So my theory is, if you want a good Alien movie, go for the ones with the better watches. They're never gonna stop! Endless trash! Alien, you got that double Casio that Sigourney wears. The sequel Aliens, you've got, well, Cameron behind the scenes was wearing the Arnie, funnily enough, and then in front of camera, of course, there was the Ripley Seiko, designed by Giugiaro. There was the Bishop. There was, I forget the corporate guy who tries to sabotage it, who was in Stranger Things. Hugo, do you remember?
Sorry, darling, you haven't gotten focused.
You haven't worked with him? Okay, fine. We've got Showgirls, Hugo's favorite, your favorite movie there. Ah, there it is. Cobretti, con Stallone. Very enjoyable Stallone movie. If you ever want to see a guy eating a pizza wearing leather gloves and looking cool wearing shades, He wears a Hoya 1000, but not the luminous style, PVD in James Bond. Very, very cool movie. Great fun, great fun. I highly recommend it. Pig, very, very overlooked performance by Nicolas Cage. A lot of people, well, you know, he wears that ridiculous Daytona and crazy watches in real life.
Endless trash!
But this was an amazing, amazing performance. If you're into your Italian series, 3 series, each is a different year, 1992, 93, 94. This got progressively better in each season. If you're like me and lived in Italy as a child, I was in Italy during this time, and so it really hits home. This is the rise of Berlusconi. There's the politics, corruption, the mafia. This is after the years of lead, the kind of the beginning of the 90s, and a new wave of politics in Milan. Incredible series. Of course, a lot of Rolex Daytonas, Datejusts, a couple of Pateks. There's wonderful watches in this. I still think about this almost every day. Leonardo Notte is my idol when it comes to Italian style, the Milanese style. Fantastic. A lot of Clint Eastwood as well. Been watching a lot of Clint Eastwood. Takeshi Kitano there. Again, I used to have the DVD. Where is it? The Godfather. I'm gonna buy the rest of them on Blu-ray as well, because it's just glorious to see it in that proper, you know, upscale. Speaking of The Godfather, I highly recommend this book. It's been featured in a few of my videos. You may have noticed it. Again, all the books, Blu-rays, all that good stuff, I'm gonna put in the Amazon store. Al Pacino, he wears, and there's lots of great photos, that Constellation, solid yellow gold. This is when Omega were at their peak, in my opinion. Talking of cool books, I highly recommend, I got given as a gift. It's called Leia. A lot of the James Bond villain Leias, and there's a few De Palma movies in here. Oh, there's that submarine from The Spy Who Loved Me. I've always adored that. You know, I was always more fascinated by the villains in the Bond movies. I was cheering for them. Especially in The Spy Who Loved Me, a beautiful Renaissance room, and then it was revealed, you know, you press a button and people get sent through a trapdoor into a shark-infested tank. I mean, that's what I need here. A few of you asked what the story was behind this commemorative plate. This building was designed by my grandfather, GHW. You would have noticed him in my intros. He's the inspiration for me to get into horology. I inherited his Charles Frodsham, the quintessential English gentleman, I mean a real gentleman. And he designed that with Connell Ward and Lucas. It's now become quite highly acclaimed. This is Frognall 66 in London. Just before the Second World War, and in fact, he had to go to court to defend it. It was very controversial at the time. It's a style called streamline modern, that's it. It's a kind of offshoot of Art Deco, more minimalist. Not Bauhaus, but they didn't want to allow him to build it because it was so controversial, so cutting edge at the time. So he had to go to court. He actually represented himself. He won the case and he was able to build it, but then of course he only lived in it when it was completed for a few months, and then World War II occurred. So because there was a lot of glass in the back, it was deemed unsafe, especially, you know, with the bombings of London and all of that stuff. And you'll see the picture up there. This company has done a series of all the UK's most important buildings. So it's an amazing honor. His legacy has been finally recognized. He's an inspiration to me. It just shows you what hard work, fortitude, determination and talent, and when you really put all of that together, what you can achieve. I only wish he was alive today so he could have seen his legacy being recognized and appreciated. Speaking of which, this was gifted to me by the son of the person who took this picture. This is Winston Churchill in Reykjavik, August 16th, 1941. Around the time he went to meet Roosevelt. So you can imagine this is the year, so Pearl Harbor happened in December later that year. Germany was tearing their way through Russia. Operation Barbarossa had happened. Churchill here had gone to meet Roosevelt in Newfoundland. So this is, I presume, either on his way back or something like that. So amazing, amazing to think. Somebody that watches this show, they gave this amazing picture to me. I mean, it's phenomenal. So we've got lots of historic stuff in here. I don't want to share your name publicly, but you know who you are. Thank you so much, my friend. This is a treasured, treasured possession. Talking of World War II. The propeller planes are still here. Shout out to my friend John, who gave this beautiful Fiat. The Junkers there, the Mitsubishi Zero. I forget which Messerschmitt, classic Spitfire, the Stuka, and of course the Catalina, the inspiration behind another watch I designed. This actually is from the cockpit of a real-life Catalina that served in World War II. The Queen Mary, still here. This is a gift from my mother, a wonderful Art Deco icon. The real thing is in LA and it's on my bucket list, so one day I will go visit. This was a gift from Bulova. It's actually a paperweight. Talking of propeller planes, there's one outside. It's very special to me because the old headquarters was near where I lived when I first moved to New York, in Astoria, where they developed the Accutron technology back in the, when was it, in the 60s. So it's a real link to not only that part of New York, but a brand that I absolutely adore. So I like it as an objet d'art, just to remind me of that story, you know. If I open up the customized box here, we have, of course, the Accutron. I've still got it. And in here, this is usually watches that are in rotation that I've taken out of the bank. Speaking of watches, I haven't done wristwatch check. It's the Universal Geneve White Shadow designed by Gentry. This is from '66. I sourced this advert. This is the Patek that came out in '68. Rubelli, the designer of this, he said in an interview how he was inspired. I mean, look, it's obvious. Fibonacci dictated oval shape. People erroneously accredit this to Gentry, but it was kind of, I guess, a homage. Patek were homaging Universal Geneve. I've done a whole video on this, do check it out. It's an amazing story, the micro rotor. Patek not only took their inspiration from the outside, but also the inside, the micro rotor. They got the same engineer to work on the Patek calibers, and it's what the backbone of modern Patek is today. So I love this Patek. If I could have any Patek, this would be it. But why should I have that when I already have the original? Of course, the Panerai, this was in the last war room. Over a year now, I've been in love with my Panerai. I sourced this lovely Art Deco lamp. This is dimmable because I want to have control of the light, because this is where I'm going to be presenting a lot of future videos. We've got I call it the Big Mac there. This is for the design work that you've seen. A lot of my watch designs are all done on that. A lot of the freelance editing that I do outside of YouTube, because I do YouTube, 50-50. And then I have a dedicated laptop for all the stuff that you're watching now that I'll edit this on. And then my gaming laptop, this Asus, which I highly recommend, which I haven't had time to do because I've been so busy working, but there we go. Talking of posters, I didn't show you the ones over here. Let's go over here. These I sourced all online. These two are reproductions, and then this is an actual real Seiko advert that was behind the cover of Q magazine. Check out my Instagram because I did a video all about this, because it's fascinating what was in the magazine at the time of this. This is the predecessor of my Flightmaster. I actually owned this a while ago. My first luxury watch. If it wasn't for James Bond, GoldenEye, I wouldn't have got into luxury watches, so I had to have that. This is important because I've owned over a dozen different types of Submariner now. This was a turning point in their advertising, and I think they were inspired by James Bond, where they realized, you know what, it's not just a tool, it's also you can wear it with a tux, and you got that whole, the lady reaching for it. Maybe I'll do a video analyzing what's going on, because a Rob Ager style analysis of the psychology of Rolex advertising, I think that would be fascinating. As you see, the Bugatti poster there. We got the Normandy here, another Art Deco icon. The dining room actually was in that streamlined modern style that I was talking about earlier. I'm obsessed with Art Deco. There's an elegance, there's a grandeur, there's a classicism that it just always looks good, and unfortunately World War II ruined all that. And you'll see, the rug, again Art Deco patterns, the antiques, all over the apartment there's Art Deco artwork and posters. It's a reoccurring theme. And then of course down here we have, I've put a light in it, a prop from a video that I directed and edited and shot, and afterwards I decided to keep it. This is not the Italian one by Galeazzi, but this is the US Navy, so this is actually a real diving helmet. So this you might recall from the Philly War Room. This is a scaled up replica of the 1992 classic Swatch, the Glance. What's really cool is that not only is it functioning, well, this is not functioning right now, I need to get the mechanism repaired, but if you bought it from new, it's a clock basically. Half the dial is a mirror and you have Shakespeare there looking out at you, and I'm not sure if there's some kind of deeper meaning, if it's like you know, representative of inner reflection, or maybe playing on themes of Shakespeare's work. Probably, you know, I'm not that well versed in Shakespeare. I love my Macbeth. Actually, I love King Lear, Othello. What was the one about the summer? What was that one called? Hugo, you studied Shakespeare. Much Ado About Nothing?
Absolute Philistine rotter.
Which is the...
Midsummer Night's Dream.
Midsummer Night's Dream, thank you, thank you. Again, I picked it up on eBay for not very much. Lots of vintage little antiques from the Art Deco period. The original Van Essen coffee makers. Actually, you could still, in theory, use them to this day. That's when things were made in America and, you know, not disposable rubbish, but like today. Wagner, of course. I'm a big Wagnerian. In fact, I was named after Tristan and Isolde. My name's not Tristan, my name is the Italian version, Tristano. Just happened to be become one of my favorite operas. The overture to that makes me want to cry every time I hear it. It's incredibly romantic. So I didn't know I was named after that, but then finding out and then falling in love with the Wagner music, and so that was kind of, it was fortuitous. Kind of like an NDC strap on a Flightmaster, destined to be. Talking of Seiko, we've got Shin Godzilla up there. This is the Japanese version. It's related to Seiko because, of course, in the movie, Shin Godzilla destroys the famous Seiko clock tower in Tokyo, which was the strangest kind of cameo of a watch brand I've ever seen. These two drawers I can't show you because they're prototypes of watches that haven't even been released yet for next year, but look, I got a problem. I seriously got a problem. That drawer alone is just NATO straps. This is leather straps. There's a Wrist Candy Watch Club, the waffle. Oh, we got there's a Fluco there, the suede. We've got tons of collar ebb straps. Shout out to Holbens, shout out to Wrist Candy Watch Club, shout out to everyone. So then we've got new lights that revolve and you can change with an app on your phone, which is really, really cool. Another Amazon buy. Yeah, so I look forward to producing tons of content here for you in the future. I'm very happy to be back in New York with a dedicated, the first time I've had a dedicated war room. I wish I could show you, talking in New York, I wish I could show you the view out the window. For obvious reasons I can't, but I look at the city now, so I get that inspiration directly. It feels good to be back, because I've got half my family here, I've got so many friends here, and back where I belong, I feel, you know? I think I'm too Italian when I'm in the UK. When I'm in Italy, I'm too British, so America is just right. There we go. So, I'm gonna get back to work. Don't forget to like this video, especially if you want to see more free and independent content like this. I will catch you in the next one from here in New York City, onwards and upwards. Thank you so much for watching.